Gather round, my friends, and let me tell you a tale. A tale not of silent nights or jingling bells, but of clinking mugs and frothy cheers. This is the story of Beermas, the most wonderful time of the year for those who appreciate a finely crafted brew. Long ago, before the world knew of crisp lagers or hoppy IPA letters, there were two humble brothers, Bartholomew and Benedict. They weren't kings or warriors, they were brewers, devoted to the art of turning simple grains and water into liquid gold. Bartholomew was the master of the mash, a wizard with malt and barley. He could coax out flavors of caramel, toffee, and toasted bread with just a subtle change in temperature. Benedict, on the other hand, was the hop whisperer. He understood the soul of the hop, from the bright, citrusy notes of one variety to the earthy, piney character of another. Together, they were unstoppable, a dynamic duo of fermentation. Their brewery wasn't a grand castle, it was a small, cozy haven where the air was always thick with the sweet smell of boiling wort. Their fame spread throughout the land, not through royal decrees, but by word of mouth. From one satisfied drinker to another, people would travel for days just to taste their legendary ales. They brewed for celebrations and for quiet contemplation, for hearty feasts and for simple moments of peace. Their beer brought people together, warming them on cold nights and refreshing them on hot days. Bartholomew and Benedict believed that a good beer was more than just a drink. It was an experience, a moment of joy to be shared. But as with all great legends, a shadow loomed, a tyrannical baron, known only as the sober sovereign. Despised joy and camaraderie, he believed that merriment was a distraction from productivity and decreed that all brewing must cease. His fun police patrolled the villages, smashing barrels and shutting down taverns. A dark cloud of sobriety fell over the land. Laughter faded from the inns, and the cheerful clinking of glasses was replaced by a somber silence. The people were miserable, their spirits as dry as the barrens. Unfeeling heart, Bartholomew and Benedict knew they couldn't let this stand. They refused to let the spirit of good cheer be extinguished. Working in secret, under the cover of a moonless night, they staged the Great Bruin. They gathered all the barley and hops they could find and fired up their copper kettles one last time. It was their most ambitious project yet. They weren't just brewing a single batch, they were brewing for an entire kingdom. The scent of their defiant creation, a rich and complex winter warmer, drifted on the wind, a fragrant message of hope to the thirsty populace. As the first snowflakes of winter began to fall, they finished their masterpiece. But how could they deliver it without being caught by the Baron's patrols? Just as despair began to set in, a miracle occurred. A sleigh pulled not by reindeer, but by a team of majestic, barrel-chested Clydesdales appeared out of the swirling snow. And at the reins was a figure with a familiar, friendly face and a twinkle in his eye. It was none other than Samuel Adams, a fellow revolutionary of refreshments, a patriot of potables. Sam Adams, a believer in freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, had heard of their plight. He knew that the right to a good beer was a right worth fighting for. He loaded his sleigh with kegs and growlers and set off into the night. That night became known as Beermas Eve. While the sober sovereign slept, Sam and the Clydesdales galloped from village to village, leaving a fresh, cold brew on every doorstep. He didn't check a list to see who was naughty or nice. He believed everyone deserved a little bit of holiday cheer the next morning. The kingdom awoke to a wonderful surprise. The sun rose on a world transformed. People opened their doors to find the gift of a perfect pint. A collective cheer echoed through the valleys as mugs were raised in unison. The Baron was furious, but he was powerless. The spirit of the people, fortified by good beer and fellowship, had been rekindled. They had their joy back, and they wouldn't let it go again. The sober sovereign's reign of blandness was over, washed away by a tidal wave of delicious ale. From that day forward, Bartholomew and Benedict became the patron saints of brewing. Their legend whispered in every pub and brewery. And every year, on the coldest night of winter, we celebrate Beermas. We honor their courage and their craft by sharing a good beer with good friends. We remember that the simple act of raising a glass together can be a revolutionary act of joy and defiance against the mundane. And the tradition continues. They say that if you're very quiet on Beermas Eve, you can still hear the faint clip-clop of Clydesdale hooves on the crisp snow. And if you've been a bad little drunkard all year, don't you worry. Sam Adams doesn't judge. He'll make sure your stocking is filled, not with coal, but with a six-pack of something festive and delicious. Because on Beermas, everyone is on the nice list. Everyone deserves to be merry. So this holiday season, when you're gathered with your loved ones, take a moment. Pour yourself a proper pint, admire its color, and inhale its complex aroma. And as you take that first satisfying sip, make a toast. A toast to Bartholomew and Benedict, the patron saints of brewing. A toast to Sam Adams, the hero of the holiday. And a toast to the enduring magic of a well-crafted beer. From all of us here, have a very, very hoppy Beermas. Cheers, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more legendary tales.